Hello and welcome back to the Nest and Inside the Iggles show. And last night, looks like the Bear in Succession kind of walked away with a lot of awards from the Emmys. I mean, I'm seeing Succession got Outstanding Drama Series, Bear got Outstanding Comedy, Best Lead Actor was a guy from Succession, Lead Actress was from Succession. I mean, I haven't watched either of those shows, but congratulations to the people who won. I'm gonna bring in Brandon Pockris. Brandon, have you seen The Bear?
So I haven't seen The Bear, but I am in the middle of watching Succession.
Okay,
Really good show.
that's
Probably getting a lot of deserved praise.
that's good. I'm happy for that. Jason Kelsey's gone. Just to kind of jump right into that.
It- well, rumored to be gone.
Yeah, and Sean Desai didn't get fired. So if
Hey,
we're just gonna fart around, yeah.
hey, we got to keep it, like it's not official yet. We all know he's probably retired, but he's not officially done yet.
I don't want to say I want to die because I've already succumbed to the pain. But that game last night, actually, it kind of it kind of felt like putting down a sick dog. It's like, yeah, at the beginning we had it was really good. We had some good times there at the beginning, and then it got really bad. And then the Eagles were in the postseason. It's like maybe this has gone on a little bit too long. And the dog kind of just it's like, hey, can I go to the vet? And that's where we're at. So, how are you feeling?
I mean, it's so interesting, right? Because it's like a mix of two emotions where you want to be like shocked and appalled that the Eagles got blowtorched against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a team that they beat earlier in the year, right? But at
Had
the
their
same
best game
time,
of the season,
yeah. But at the same time, I'm like, I expected this.
right?
Like, we said this, I'm pretty sure, on the Friday show, right? What from the past few weeks of Eagles football told you that they were going to beat any team lined up against them?
But
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
and then they just in at least in the Cardinals game, they were competitive. They weren't I don't even want to count week 18 as a game because they pulled their starters, even though they tried to be competitive. And then last night it was just the walk into the locker room, walk out, hop on the plane, go to Bora Bora. Like
They
they
quit.
got a
I mean,
reservation in Cancun.
it looked like they quit,
Yeah.
right? And that's crazy when you think of, what this team was supposed to be. And it's crazy to think that all the problems that popped up, they didn't solve anything and somehow made everything worse. It's crazy that the quarterback seemingly regressed, the play
Yep.
calling seemingly regressed. There's friction everywhere.
Yep.
And the house, whether it was built of sturdy wood or a house of cards, whatever it was built of, it fell apart. And we have a long off season ahead of us because there is a lot of things for this team to fix, and who knows how they're going to try to go about doing so.
Well, number one, coaching. Who lives? Jeff Stoutland, right? That's it, right?
Right. Like that's probably the only one at the moment because whether it's your team Desai or team Patricia or team get
Jacob.
everyone out of there, like you gotta change first and foremost the defensive staff because whatever they were doing, it wasn't working. And that's not even getting into the fact that they need to add multiple additions at linebacker and cornerback, right?
Yeah.
That on the offensive side of the ball too, right? Everything regressed to the worst possible outcome. The head coach that you brought in to be an offensive mind could not figure out how to have his team pick up a blitz again.
Yeah,
The
I'm I'm,
you're-
look, I'm looking at this. I'm looking at the list of the offensive coaches. So Brian Johnson gone. Okay, that's easy. Marcus Brady, um, a senior offensive assistant. You could be gone too. I don't care. Alex Tanney has done nothing for me, and it has shown that I don't want to say that he didn't help Jalen get better. That's for sure.
let's just put it out there first and foremost, right? Everyone besides Stoutland on the offensive staff is probably gone.
Yeah.
Probably gone. So if you're clearing out the majority of the defensive staff, if you're clearing out the majority of your offensive staff, well, guess what? Who does that fall to? That falls to Nick Sirianni.
Oh yeah.
And I was listening to a podcast earlier today. I think it was the Ringer Fantasy Football Show.
Okay.
And they brought up a good point. It's like Sirianni's like the dude from Office Space in that one meme where they're going like,
What would you
so
say do here?
yeah, so what would you say you do here? He sure as hell isn't fixing the offense. The offense that seemingly couldn't get answers, and yeah, they'll hit the big play, but it looks like a high school team trying to pick up a blitz, right?
Yep.
He's not keeping the locker room together in the sense of you're hearing about the players only meetings and you're seeing the friction on the sideline, and you're not nothing's really being mitigated. You're seeing it all in sure as hell the defensive side of the ball, which personally I would say is the biggest indictment on him because he fired the coordinator in December and proceeded to have a defense be even worse somehow, and probably the worst in the league over
Easily.
that time frame where Patricia was the defensive coordinator. So just from an objective viewpoint, right? If you're not helping on offense, if you're not helping on defense, and you're not keeping the team together, why are you still here?
Kick rocks, buddy.
And that's the crazy part, because on the surface level, this is a guy coming off a Super Bowl appearance last year. In theory, he had another good season. But when you actually dive into it, they've lost, what, 6 of their last 7, 5 of their last 6 to end the season.
Mm-hmm.
The team borderline fell apart. And
Not borderline.
well, yeah, I'm trying to be cordial still, but it's just not working. And this is the crossroads for organizations where you either back the guy you have and hope things somehow get fixed, or you're tanking even further next year and having the clean house anyway, or you're proactive and you try to get ahead of what that bad season would be and get ahead of what is going to be probably the most difficult offseason for this team in years.
Corey says, "Are you guys worried about AJ?" Buddy, I'm worried about everybody.
Yeah.
Buddy, I'm worried about every person. You can't watch that game and be like, yeah, Jalen, this one's not on Jalen. That one is just as much. Jalen took a safety on a play from the 14-yard line. Buddy, Corey, I'm worried about every single person. I'm worried. I was showing Brandon before the show. I had to take notes during the show on my iPad. And they're good. They're good. Like for the most part, they're good. But then we got to the fourth quarter, and I just wrote "Pay Devontae" about 500 times. So I'm worried about everybody. I mean, who do you think is going to come back next year? Okay.
In terms of what?
Players. Okay. So I'll go through. Devontae will be back next year. All right.
He should be, right? Unless some crazy stuff happens with this team, which can't put that off the table at this point.
I'm putting it at above a 95% chance that Devontae's back. Jalen will be back. Julio Jones is gone. Man, that sucks for him too. Julio Jones just wants to. He's like, you know what? I'm just gonna get a ring and then his brain gets bad, and that looks so bad too. That hit looks so bad on him.
He took a shot.
He took a shot and he didn't know where the hell he was. He took a shot, got bounced back like 3 yards, and then covered up the ball like he was running through, like he was a power running back. Oh, that looks so bad for him. Olamide Zacchaeus. What percentage do you think? Percent chance do you think he has of coming back?
Like a 35. I think if they bring him back, it's the similar type contract he got this year.
Yeah, I would like him to come back. I want to put it closer. I would put it closer to 45. Like
Okay.
I think it's less than half. It's less than half, but I don't think it's a third, like a 33% chance or anything like that.
I only say that because I think they're gonna address that position in the draft.
I certainly hope so.
So, like, I think they're gonna try and get their quote unquote future slot or future number 3 in the draft in a good wide receiver class.
Yep.
At least
AJ's only got 2 years left on his deal now.
And like maybe that's me projecting what I want, but you can't go into the season with that much uncertainty at the number 3 position in my eyes.
That's correct. I think that's right. Let AJ. AJ, I would say 90% sure that he's back.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
If you have a generational wide receiver, you don't let him walk out the door. No. Let's see whom. Quez.
I'd say probably 35 to 40. I think him and OZ are in that same boat.
I would say 15%, but that's just me. I want him gone. The thing came out last week of Jalen saying when your phone rings, make sure you answer. And then he said, "Buddy, I'm always ready," or something like that. And 3 catches for 15 yards or something like that. Congratulations, Quez. Thank you for being a complete disappointment. DeAndre Swift.
I say 60.
Really? Really?
I mean, he's from Philly. There's a chance they give him the discount.
Yeah, but
or
also,
he gives them the discount.
I mean, but also, 1,000-yard season and 5 touchdowns every single time he could. Like on any other team, he's probably at 12, 13 touchdowns. And
True.
they're addicted to using Kenny Gainwell.
But it goes to the point, right? Let's say you let Swift walk. Who are you filling the void with?
We said that. I mean, we thought that same thing last year with Miles Sanders, but they ended up getting. You know what? They'll probably throw Rashad Penny another contract.
I just think Swift was very important to when the Eagles were functioning on offense, to where they'll look at it and be like, all right, you're probably not going to get an insane amount of money on the open market because just the natural state of the running back position. We'll give you a 2-year deal, option for the 3rd. Here you go, right?
Yeah.
And if he takes that, it works. But if he doesn't, I don't know what direction they go. Obviously, it's January 16th. We're not going to know what directions are even available. But you can't just rely on Kenny Gainwell as your number 1. That you just can't.
But we are talking about the same team that we just spent 4 months watching, right?
Also, a big thing we have to consider here: who's going to be the coach? So yeah. I'm trying to think just. I'm trying to think just like macro, like macro. Yeah. Okay.
Dallas Goedert.
I'd probably put a 65.
I think
70.
I think I'm closer to 75 for Dallas Goedert. It's definitely not a sure thing, but I think that and then lineman, Jordan Mailata, 100%. I think that's probably fair. Landon Dickerson, probably 100%. They'll have to pay him.
I mean, it's just a matter of, once again, contracts and so much of this, right, comes down to whether it's offense or defense. the
That's why I
cap
wanted to
hits.
start on offense first, because
Yeah.
defense is going to be just an absolute shitstorm when I start getting to those names.
Well, I mean, is it even worth it to do defense? You're just getting rid of basically 3/4 of the damn unit.
There's there's
Like,
there's 4 people on
yeah,
defense that I think are question marks,
yeah, and
unfortunately.
yeah. I mean, and guess what? Two of the people that are guarantees to bring back from that starting unit, you just drafted this past year.
Right.
If that tells you anything you need to know. So it's like with the offense, you have the Hurts extension kicking in, so you're not going to be able to pay everyone now. You're going to have to make considerable roster cuts. You're now adding more positions of need on top of basically fixing a unit that looked like bottom tier in the league on the other side of the ball. This is a test for Howie Roseman, and this is a test for really the entire Eagles organization to see what they can do with adversity. Because we were going through it. I apologize to interrupt, but offensive line, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Jason Kelsey's gone, or most likely gone. What are you doing in terms of center depth now? Because
Cam Jurgens.
I behind him, because you need a backup, right? What do you do? What are you doing if Lane decides to walk away, or other positions on the line become question marks, right? Are you really gonna go into next year? And they might not have a choice, by the way, with so many guys on this line that might be starting for the first time or coming off that first year of starting experience. That's a tough position to be in when you have a quarterback making upper tier money.
Yeah. Yeah. It's bad. What do you I think Lane will come back. Lane's got another year left. I think he even just has another year on his contract still too. But I think next year will be his last. But on defense, the biggest, obviously the biggest one, James Bradbury.
So I just pulled up our lads, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, this is updated basically today. Like behind Bradbury, you have Ricks, and then on the other side you have Rinko and Job.
Yeah.
My brain is telling me, get Bradbury so far off the team that the coaching staff doesn't even think of playing him.
He should just retire. He's supposed to be a good guy. James, if you're a good guy, this is the test. This is the litmus test on whether or not you're a good guy. You should retire.
Here's the issue, though. Right?
Dead cap.
Dead cap is bad. I mean, I don't have.
I think his is double digits.
Yeah, I don't have over the cap pulled up right now, but
it might be like 14 or something like that.
They just extended him.
I know they did.
So they're in a bad position with him and Darius Slay, who just got hurt.
Yeah.
At the end of this past game. So once again, another position on this roster where you're going to have to lean on UDFAs and high draft picks, rookies, right?
Yeah.
Whoever they add in this upcoming draft, most likely, unless they decide to shock the world and go at receiver where they're drafting, it's probably going to be a corner in a decent cornerback class. But that's a rookie. You're banking on that kid basically shoring up a unit that was one of the worst in the league at the end of the year. I hate to repeat myself, but that's the truth.
Yeah.
Linebacker's even worse, right? Like, I think there's a comment. Yeah, Corey put it in the chat. When will the Eagles ever value linebackers? If we're going to be completely honest here, it's probably when Howie Roseman decides to leave or gets fired. If we want to be completely frank, because if this season doesn't show you, and I say you as in upper Eagles decision makers, that linebackers are important, when Kyle Shanahan literally runs an entire offensive scheme against your team of just abusing the middle of the field, when the New York Giants and the Arizona Cardinals, and yes, they were a playoff team, but the Tampa Bay Buccaneers abuse you. Cade Otton was the Buccaneers' #1 target. Not Mike Evans, not Chris Godwin, not even Trey Palmer. No, Cade Otton, which is something that we brought up on the show, being like, hey, Eagles can't cover tight ends. Might have to look out for Cade Otton. I'm pretty sure the dude got like 12 targets last night.
Yeah,
I
just spam that button.
I was in shock. I was looking, I'm like, oh, Cade Otton again and again and again. But once it, like combining a team philosophy that doesn't invest resources into linebacker means, or with a league that is constantly attacking the middle of the field, that means you're either relying on late draft picks or veteran free agent signings that are hitting the open market for a reason to compete with a Dallas scheme that has very, very good playmakers. The
Right.
49ers, the Buccaneers, right? All these different teams that can abuse the middle of the field.
Now you say that you're going to be relying on late draft picks and guys that you sign. That's counterpoint. They're going to try Nakobe Dean again. they're gonna try Nakobe Dean. And
but that's my point. Can he
who
stay
the
on
hell
the
knows?
field?
Like,
So-
is Nakobe Dean actually good at football? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. I don't think anybody knows the answer to that question.
Your current linebacker depth chart
It's
is
disgusting.
Nicholas Morrow,
Kill me.
Ben Van Sumeren
Kill me.
at middle linebacker, Zach Cunningham and Shaquille
Yeah.
Leonard at weak side linebacker. I mean, what are we doing here? Right? Who's the free agent market for linebackers? I don't think it's relatively good. You let your homegrown ones walk out. Newsflash. I think TJ Edwards had a pretty damn good season.
Pro Bowl,
I
believe.
Yeah. You're not just gonna have 100% hit rate or even a 75% hit rate with late round picks and UDFAs. Guess what? They're those type of players for a reason. They need to be developed, and that development doesn't always work. So add another aspect to where this Eagles roster just has to be renovated for a team that is having the Jalen Hurts extension kick in. This is not some easy fix.
No.
Right?
It's actually like a brutal. You ever do one of those puzzles where it's like a white sheet and then it's just a bunch of scribbled lines and then they mirror it? It's that puzzle. It's that. Now
I'm pulling up over the cap because I want to get specific numbers in terms of this situation.
I was going to say, because Ian's other comment here is, do we get rid of all DBs? And it's so easy to say yes, but also that's just such. Now, to be fair, the Eagles have shown that they are willing to eat that money with the Carson Wentz thing. Like they've shown, and comparing James Bradbury's cap hit to Carson Wentz's cap hit is, I don't know, apples to James and the Giant Peach size apples or oranges, whatever the hell it is. Like it's pretty insignificant when you compare those things. But
so
it's bad. It's all bad. There's
so
no good.
Currently, I think the Eagles, if we're taking over the cap into consideration, right? They have around 28.5 mil, which, I mean, it's not a ton, but it's also like it's not like they're in the negatives or anything.
Right.
But looking at some of the cap hits, you got Hassan Reddick on the books for about 21.8 mil.
And he'll probably want to restructure.
True. You got Lane Johnson. And this is where you start to you're not even 3 players down, and right here, Kevin Byard, cap number.
Damn it. God damn it.
I mean, look,
his thing wasn't just the 1 year. God damn it.
Cap
damn it.
Cap number of 14.4 mil, basically. Dead money, I think if he's cut before, it's you save like only 1 mil. I think it's a
Okay.
13, basically a 13 mil cap hit or dead money hit.
It's
I'm
such
not
a
sure.
kick in the dick.
I'm not sure if I'm 100% reading right, but
It's
that's what it
gonna
looks like to me. I
It's
think.
about ready to be really ugly and really now on the flip side
Or
of things, Howie Roseman's a goddamn math whiz, and on the other side of that, the salary cap doesn't necessarily exist. Like, yes, it's there, and it makes it so you can't have like sign two people like to Jalen Hurts size contracts or anything like that. Like that's what, but it doesn't exist. Like, yeah, there's limitations, but it gets finagled so many times, and there's things that are legal that are frowned upon that GMs do and stuff like that. But it's not. The Eagles don't have enough in order to fix the general thing. I think we're coming up here with is the Eagles don't have enough money or resources in order to fix all their problems. Two
okay,
two
so
second round picks help though.
so I think um I think to clarify the Bayard one, I think he's under $1 million cap hit. So I think it would work if they chose to cut him because
But
I don't think his dead cap is that much if it's a pre June 1st designation.
okay, that's at least
But
promising because he's been a utter disappointment.
but then that also raises the question, right? Who are we replacing him
Jeremy Chin, baby. I had that one locked and loaded.
with?
That's where I'm at. Yeah. So yeah, the rosters in shambles. People need to get paid and all that kind of stuff. I had some questions that I came up with during the game. Um, is Dallas Goedert a disappointment?
No, because I think the Eagles staff just refused to involve him in the passing game.
Okay.
Now, now it's so hard to come up with that
Yeah.
when you're not understanding like what all the play calls are in the midst of the game and you don't have like the game film in front of you. But when you're having to rely on quick passes all the time and there's not really this cohesive scheme. It's hard to really say if a guy's a disappointment or not. He's also been injured this year. I think you basically have to give him, I feel like, a year with a new scheme or a scheme that has another year to build upon what they did. Otherwise, you run the risk of overreacting to just a down year for this team in general.
Yeah. Yeah. I was 2020 2022 is his, yeah, because that was the first year that he was the sole starter. Yeah, so that was his best year. I don't know. I just saw after that first pass hit him in the hands. I was like, I wrote that down. I think probably in anger. Um, Typically, I write in cursive if I'm not angry, and then all capital letters if I am angry. And this is all capital letters. I know myself pretty well. Here's another one. Is Georgia's defense not that good?
I don't think that is I think that's hard because the college level is different.
I know. I wrote that one. That's directly under my note that says, Nolan Smith just ran straight past a guy in the backfield. Way to fuck it up, Rook. Um,
But before we get to more questions, we talked about Bradbury and Slay
yeah.
for 2024. Doesn't We're using Spot Track doesn't really give a June 1st or post June 1st designation or anything. Darius Slay's dead cap is 35 million, and
Goddamn.
James Bradbury's is, yeah. So a post June 1st is 4 mil or 4.7 mil. Otherwise, it's 17.2 mil.
Jesus Christ. I
They
mean,
they might have to eat that. And if we check on Darius Slay's post June 1st, basically 11 mil.
yeah, I think they're going to keep Slay, and I think it's going to burn us like James Bradbury did this year.
Yep.
That's what Ian, his thing said. What is your guys' opinions on Slay if Slay comes back? Yeah, I think he does. Depending. Have you heard anything about his injury?
No, I've not.
Like, yeah, and they didn't really show a replay of it, did they? I don't know. It's the end of the game, and I was wasted at that point. So like, I don't quite remember. Um, if it's like a bad like a knee like a bad knee thing that could potentially change it, but say it's just an injury, he has the off season to work it out. I think Slay will be back, and I think it's not going to be good.
Also, also to the Dallas Goddard question, right? Cap hit is 22.35 mil.
No, I think
Ho-
I think they're gonna.
yeah,
There's no way that
but
he goes away, but they're probably
even
gonna end up drafting a tight end at some point.
I mean, even if you wanted to, your dead cap post June 1st is still over 11 million. So it's not even worth it this season.
Yeah. Let's see. I thought I had more questions here. Maybe those were my only two questions.
Ian brings up a good point about Maddox. This is something we talked about
Oh yeah.
in terms of the game, where I was like, we're gonna see, is Maddox still going to be ready or not? No, he was not. I
No.
mean, the tackling was atrocious,
Yep.
getting burned in coverage, no matter who he was up against. Just
Yep.
just he caught the trash sickness from the rest of the Eagles secondary, and that's honestly a shame.
Yeah, I think he's gone too. I honestly, I thought when he tore his pec in week 2, that was the last time that we're going to see Avonte Maddox in a Eagles uniform. But a guy like that, you can't, like an injured guy like that, you can't do that again. Especially when you have so much young depth on your sideline. Like you have young guys that can play that position. But I mean, when Avonte was good and healthy, it was good, but not anymore.
But guess what that adds? You had another need.
Yeah, there's so many of them.
Like this is the problem, right? And
Yeah.
anyone who's watched football has been a victim of this. It is so easy to say, cut him, get rid of this guy, get rid of this guy. The problem is, who were you replacing him with? And the Eagles have cap space, but with all these needs, you're going to have to hit on all your signings, and you're going to have to hit on a lot of your draft picks.
Yeah, and that's an incredibly difficult thing to do. Ian also says willing to keep Blankenship. Yeah, absolutely. Reed Blankenship's worth nothing.
If there's like maybe 5 must keeps on the roster, maybe bump it up to 7.
That aren't on rookie contracts, you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, like he's one of them.
Yeah, no,
he has to be.
People to keep. Josh Sweat, I believe, still has 1 year left on his. Milton Williams was amazing yesterday. Played crazy good, which relatively crazy good compared to what we've seen. Hassan Reddick will be back, but probably unhappy. And I hope Fletch, and it seems like BG's willing to come back. BG's going to be cheap as dirt, so that'll be good. And I think that we will get another Fletch and BG next year. That's what I think. That's what I'm kind of I've kind of settled on. Their lockers have been right next to each other for like what, a decade. Like they're boys. Like those two guys are going out at the same time. I think that they both played like pretty well this season. Like Fletch was one of if not the best defensive player this year.
It's very hard because I want to agree, but I also think it depends on what happens with the coaching staff.
Yeah, but I don't necessarily know if those are the kinds of guys that would like leave because of a change. I think that those are culture guys. Those are the guys that are going to be there, be like, hey, this is how this works. Like if they're getting new defensive line coach. And to be fair, I think personally, to me, if there's one person on the one defensive coach, I think that the defensive line's lack of production this year is more of a grand scheme thing rather than the bad coaching or anything like that. I mean, hell, you saw what they were able to do with Jalen Carter right off the bat. That's what Ian also said. I hope Jalen Carter turns things around. I will. He's a rookie. Like the fact that we got as good a play from Jalen Carter right off the bat, that's nuts in and of itself, because rookie defensive tackles typically, vast majority of the time, do not play well their first season. I mean, you saw Jordan Davis last year. Now, his thing obviously was the part injury related and stuff like that. But yeah, no, I 100% believe that Jalen Carter will be able to do it. It's just one of those things. Like, you draft these guys from Georgia, and that was the knock on Jordan Davis coming in when we drafted him. Is like, oh, this guy doesn't play that much. Well, nobody on Georgia's defensive line plays that much, because they got 1,000 guys that they actually rotate. So yeah, they played the most snaps of their entire career this year. Jordan Davis is the bigger question mark for me to end that whole thought.
I just think it comes down to, in the sense of, like, if there really is that much problems with Sirianni, and just there is that type of dysfunction, you wonder if keeping a guy like that would sway some of the veterans to come back or not.
Yeah.
And it's all hypothetical, right? Because we're not in the locker room. We don't know what's being said and how players are reacting to going from 10-1 to where they end up, right?
Yeah.
But it's sports. It's competitive, and if we know anything about professional sports and NFL especially, things can turn on a dime.
Oh, what?
And
Like what? Like a team going? No, I've never seen that.
no, but that's kind of my mindset, where I'm like, okay, they could be in a spot where they're ready to come back, but if Sirianni comes back and just, let's say, for example, and no, I don't think this would happen, but runs it back status quo and keeps Patricia as the defensive
God,
coordinator.
don't invoke
There's
that.
But that's a situation where I'm like, okay, it would make sense if some of your veterans didn't agree with that and chose not to come back.
Yeah.
So there's different avenues, and until we understand what the Eagles' main plan is and how they're going to execute this offseason, it's all speculation. But I do agree with you, like, in totality, I would expect, like, those guys to be back.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think we started that whole thing off with the 4 people that you want to keep on defense.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's mostly
all from a Reed Blankenship question. Love
yeah.
it.
This is how this goes.
Oh,
What do you
man.
guys think about Reed? Yeah, actually, Matt Patricia. So that's where we're at.
Oh, man.
Let's talk some head coaching stuff, because this will probably happen sooner or later.
It has to.
I mean, I saw somebody tweet today, the fact that nobody's gone out and said that Nick Sirianni is safe is, like, kind of like, that's something to note. Like, that's a thing. But if Nick Sirianni goes, do you think, because Jeffrey Lurie always wants his offense to be groundbreaking. He wants them to end up becoming the prototypical offense. Like, he wants the creative, high-powered things. All right, that's why we've seen what's that? 4. I mean, in his entire time that he's been the owner of the team, they've had offensive coaches. Also, in that every owner that Jeffrey Lurie has had has not been an NFL head coach before. All right, so that's the reality of the situation. So a lot of these names that I'm going to list off don't fit that mold, specifically an offensive coach and somebody who has never been a head coach in the NFL before. The first one, and this is, I'm going down this with the best odds, like whatever I can't remember what DraftKings has as the Eagles' next head coach, Vrabel. He's got the high, I think it's like minus 150 or something like that for Vrabel to be the next Eagles coach. I don't, like, in order for that to happen, number one, like I said, it would break all the molds from Jeffrey Lurie. But would that be almost like, okay, we're going to stick with Vrabel and we're going to just rotate offensive coordinators until we fire him or we hire him again?
Yeah, it's tough, right? And I'm not. I want to wait until you read a few more names off the list, because I mean, we've gone over who I think the candidate should be if Sirianni gets fired. But Vrabel on the surface, and this is the only way I think they would shift, right? On the surface, he fits that Philadelphia mold. Like the toughness, the grit, the work hard and grind it out mentality, right?
Yeah.
Maybe seeing how bad the defense looked down the stretch
And that's the
is
other
the
thought. Yeah.
is the impetus for the owner being like, all right, we're switching it up. We want our defense to be just back to where it should be. We had this unit last year. It completely fell apart this year. We need to fix that, right?
Yeah. And that kind of goes like if there were a reason for Jeffrey
This would be
to
the reason.
yeah if or for Lurie to break that mold. Yeah, it's a historically terrible defense.
But
Um,
at the same time, that's going away from what the NFL is, the innovative offenses.
yeah, but the other option is Nick Sirianni, and his innovation level is, I don't know. He saw Da Vinci's helicopter. He said, "This is the peak right here. This is innovation. Not going any further than that. Planes, what the hell are you talking about?" Anyway, okay, so top five: Vrabel, Belichick, Bobby Slowick, Ben Johnson, Jim Harbaugh.
Well, my name was just read off. Ben Johnson.
Ben
That's
Johnson.
the one for me where I'm like, if you want to get rid of Sirianni but stay in that mold that you mentioned, Johnson is not and has not been an NFL head coach.
Right.
And he's also one of the more innovative minds in all the league. I feel like you get that guy in Philadelphia to get his hands on what hurts and the rest of that, what do you call it? Offense. I think you could have some really good things. I
Right.
also think you get that with Slowick.
Yep.
And Nick just said in the chat, I also think you get that with Todd Monken. So there are some really good options to fix, quote unquote, the Eagles offense in terms of getting it back to an innovative level and truly seeing where Jalen Hurts truly lies as a quarterback.
Right.
Because I think this year was unfair to Hurts in a lot of ways, in the sense of the scheme itself was so bad that so much had to be put on his plate. You get a good scheme in there, you get a consistent character or consistent cast of characters in terms of, the offensive coaches and the offensive coordinator and how that offense is set up. You're truly going to see if Hurts is that guy. And that's the most important thing, because
Right.
you have that contract. And if for whatever reason he isn't that same guy, because we did see some regression no matter what,
Yeah.
the scheme or everything else says.
Yeah.
If you see he isn't that guy, now you have that structure with the head coach, whether it's a Johnson, a Monken, or a Slowick in place, to where now you can start making alternative plans.
Yeah, and on that note, it's not just find out if Jalen is that guy, but also turn this around.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
it's not just like this is the tool that you have, but like you can improve Jalen. Like it's not just we paid him $50 million a year and that's what we're getting. It's like, no, turn him in, because this year he did not play like a $50 million quarterback.
No, he did not.
Like turn him into that $50 million quarterback. So I do like that, the young guns. Jim Harbaugh, I don't think he will be. I like it. I like an idea of a Jim Harbaugh as an Eagles head coach. He's a odd cat. I don't like him. I like the idea of him. He's an odd cat. He's an odd cat. But he's also, I think he's going to end up going to one of these, like a team that has nothing, like that needs to rebuild, because that's what Jim Harbaugh wants to do.
He is a program builder. The Eagles have the program. It's just a little broken.
Yeah, Jim Harbaugh is. I can fix him. I just need to get I can fix him. He's a bad girlfriend.
My selfish destination for Harbaugh has always been the Chargers. I want him to go to Herbert, and I think if he gets with Herbert, I think Herbert is going to finally shut up so many people that say he is not a good quarterback, because some of the most annoying takes on the internet are Herbert sucks, this, that. It's like, please watch the games.
But
I'm begging you.
have you ever actually typed out Herbert sucks? Have you ever typed it out? Because it really flows with your fingers on the keyboard. Because I've done it. It's really just gratifying to say that. It's just fun. That's where I'm at. It's a purely recreational Herbert sucking. I nailed that. I nailed that. Next 5 names. Frank Smith, which again, that's not a real person. That's not a real name. That's a name that you come up with when you can't think of a name. Frank Smith. That's what that is.
He is the Miami Dolphins offensive coordinator currently.
Okay. So he doesn't really do much. All right.
Well, you don't know that.
No, good point. I don't know what I don't know, says Jalen. For some reason, Rex Ryan.
I couldn't explain that one.
Yeah,
Be
I don't know
honest
why.
with you.
I don't know why. Like he has the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th best odds. Rex, say that out loud. 2024. Rex Ryan, your Philadelphia Eagles head coach. No, Bigfoot guy. Mike McDonald, Dan Quinn, and Todd Monken.
Monken's I think that's a great option. I'm surprised he's that low. Mike McDonald would be really, really cool for the Eagles defense. It also would come down to who he's bringing as his offensive coordinator.
Yeah, that's probably fair. The Dan Quinn one.
No.
Oh, Nick says Rex Ryan threw his own name in a mix a few weeks ago on Get Up. I'm okay. Here, formal statement. Jake Beckman, I'm going to throw my name. I'm putting my name in the hat. If you need a Eagles next head coach, Jake Beckman, I'm just saying, if I get a call, I'm not going to be surprised. Okay, and then the next, I'm just going to go through. These are like the long shot ones. Kellen Moore, Pete Carroll, Brian Callahan, Jimmy Schwartz, Mike LaFleur, Aaron Glenn, Jason Kelsey, Dave Canales, Mike Kafka, and Raheem Morris.
I'm surprised Canales, Morris, and Kafka are behind Jason Kelsey.
Right.
Because they're actual coaches, and Kelsey literally played on the team this season and doesn't have any NFL coaching experience. But hey,
he fits the mold.
But like those are all cool names, but if the Eagles have a head coach opening, you're shooting for the moon.
Yeah.
Like simple as that. Like you are targeting the best candidates, you're paying as much as possible for them, and whatever one you end up with, you move forward from there. You don't settle if you move on from Sirianni, because
right.
That's I like
Super Bowl window is currently closing.
I don't want to discount Sirianni, because he did do a good job the past few seasons, but there were other candidates the Eagles were interested in, and they didn't end up with them. So if you're firing Sirianni, you can't make that mistake again.
Yeah. And I know we've talked about it, how this should be a job where people are like, all right, the everything's built for me to succeed here. Sorry, I'm burping and holding it in. Everything's built for me to succeed here. How it should be like a really like glamorous job for people. Hard. I mean, saying that, and I do believe that, but it's important to recognize the negative things.
There are flaws. There are flaws.
The negative things. One would be they're going to dump you. Like if they get rid of Nick Sirianni, and they absolutely should, like they have no problem with dumping you if you don't perform.
Kevin Clark on Twitter had a perfect take to really sum this up. The Eagles have fired better coaches than Nick Sirianni before.
Oh yeah,
they fired Andy Reid. They fired Doug Peterson.
And Doug Peterson is wearing his
Yep.
Super Bowl ring, walking into the meeting like Frodo. It's just hanging around his neck. Like they have no problem no problem with firing people. So that's obviously that's one reason. And I think that I heard somebody say this today. I can't remember who it was, but the idea of Bill Belichick coming to Philadelphia. Now, I saw the things today that said Lurie actually hates Bill Belichick. I get it. That makes sense. The idea there is that he could have been a fan of Bill Belichick because he did initially try to buy the Patriots before he bought the Eagles. So that was kind of like the connection there. But for Bill Belichick, if Bill Belichick is looking to like beat the record for most wins, isn't that the one that he's close to?
Yeah.
Yeah. If he's looking to beat that, then there's no like, yeah, he can just come in for 3 years and get fired. Who gives a shit? Like, certainly not him. What was the other? Oh yeah, I was talking about the other downfalls of this job. Is that Jeff Lurie and Howie Roseman are both very like hands-on. There are certainly other teams that if you're looking to if you're Ben Johnson and you want to make a team, you want to be like, this is Ben Johnson's team. I don't necessarily think that that's going to happen if he takes this job. I don't know Ben Johnson's motives, don't know what the guy's all about and everything like that. But if his motive is like, I want to build a team into a winning franchise, the team's already built, and Jeff and Howie are going to be hands-on with that. So that is, again, aside from incredibly talented players on offense, there is some downsides to this job. Does that make sense? Can you think of any other ones?
I mean, just from a roster construction standpoint, if you're hiring the offensive guy, you really have to make sure you get a good defensive guy to come with you, because
Right.
that is a unit that needs a lot of help.
Oh yeah.
Just as if you're hiring a defensive guy, you got to make sure that, you bring the right offensive mind so that your $50 million per year investment at quarterback doesn't just suddenly go up in smoke.
Now,
So it's like a tightrope act where whatever type of coach they bring in, unless it's an overall program builder that has experience on both sides of the ball, you're banking on the fact that but I think basically you're banking on the fact that the other side just rebounds itself.
I was going to say the two thoughts here is that there's going to be regression towards the mean for this defense.
There has to be.
You can't be that bad. Like it's gotta go back towards the middle of that bell curve. The other side of that is you don't need a great guy for that. If you're hiring a offensive coordinator, an offensive guy for your head coach, you don't need a great defensive coordinator.
Average. Like 15th or 16th
the Kansas
in the
City
league.
Chiefs just won a Super Bowl with an incredibly average defense. Like that, you can win Super Bowls with an average defense. You can't win Super Bowls with an average offense. So that's kind of the thought there. Because yeah, if you get a defensive guy, congratulations on that. That's good. You're going to be shoring up your weaker side of the ball, but you need to make sure you get a great defensive head coach and a great offensive coordinator. Where if you get a great offensive coordinator to be your head coach, you could just have a fine guy, not Matt Patricia, because he's ass.
And it's also with like these type of candidates and the jobs available. Like the Eagles would be extremely high up on the list, but you gotta also remember, like, some candidates want different things, right? Where a Ben Johnson might want a Washington type job or an Atlanta job because he can build that from the ground up.
Yep.
You also might have Johnson where he's like, oh, I get to work with Jalen Hurts.
Right.
Yeah, sign me up. So it's a matter of what the Eagles look for and also what the candidates are looking for, because it's also on Roseman and Lurie to get it right if they get rid of Sirianni and decide they want to move in a different direction. Because, look, you do have Jalen Hurts. You do have your quote-unquote star quarterback. But as you said a few minutes ago, that window is closing and closing fast. And if you don't make every single right move, or at least nail most of your moves, that window's going to slam shut, and then you're faced with the tough decision of being like, all right, is it time to tear down? Do we have to, take a step back for a year to move forward? And those are not conversations Eagles fans want to hear, especially after how recent this team was primed to be a perennial, at least NFC title contender.
Yeah. Yeah, and you need to make sure that marriage is good, because you don't want it to be a thing like you hire Ben Johnson, but he wants something different. Like, you want to make sure that you're getting the right guy and that guy is also right for you. So that's how the hell did we get here? How did we get here? How on God's green earth did we get here? We were 10-1, man. We're 10-1, like 50 days ago.
We were on this show talking about how we thought the Eagles could beat anybody on their schedule. And that turned into the Eagles could lose to anybody on their schedule
And
in the
fire their
same
head coach.
in the same season and fire the head coach.
And
It
and
is
to be fair,
it's incredible.
This
It's
firing
incredible.
Nick thing is not foreign. We said if Nick loses these two of his last 3 games, or if he doesn't go 500 in the last 4 games of the season, then he's going to be on the hot seat. And then he lost 3 of those games. And then he absolutely just he did a handstand and just took a big fat shit, and it landed on his face in the playoffs. Like, he's just brutal. And it's not like we should keep him. It's like he's done everything in his power in order to lose this job. The guy's brutal and offers nothing. And he got popcorn thrown at him, and he didn't respond.
He did get popcorn thrown at him.
If somebody throws popcorn on me, it's on sight. That guy, Nick Sirianni, has more than enough experience going up to the fans and high-fiving them. If somebody throws popcorn on me after I just ended my season and probably my coaching career, I'm walking up to that guy and I'm gonna throw hands. That's what I'm doing. That was another question. Is, do you think I could beat Nicholas Morrow in a fight? Because I like my chances.
I don't know how to answer that.
I think I could. He's a coward.
Do I think you could beat an NFL player in a fight? Probably not. But
I like my chances.
all I was gonna say is, with Sirianni, this is the same guy that basically went from taunting Chiefs fans to, in the same season, basically being the Eagles' firing squad shield. Same year. It's crazy. It is just crazy. And I will say, and this is basically taking the route of if the Eagles decide to keep him, this dude's basically got to go in a darkness retreat and just hide away for like 2 months and just figure out how to fix all these problems. Because guess what? If he tries to run it back status quo next season, and the Eagles, let's say, I don't know, start off like 2-4 or 1-5 or 1-3.
It's a waste of a season.
He's getting canned. You're wasting another year of AJ Brown. You might be wasting the last year of Devonta in Philly, and then you have the snowball effect, right? It just puts the impetus so much on this team to get it right, because I will say it here, January 16th, 2024, ahead of next season, which is multiple months away, right? If they don't make the right decision, screw it. I'll say, if they don't fire Sirianni, they're going to regret it. Oh, yeah. And they're going to have a very, very bad 2024 season. And it's going to be the season that basically breaks everything.
I don't want to be around anymore. That's where I'm at. Yeah, no. Bright side, Eagles have the 22nd pick in the draft, and then they also have the Saints pick in the second round, which is the 50th overall pick. How about that? How about that for positivity? This is what you've done to me, Eagles. You've broken me. You've broken me, and it's honestly, I don't. It'll take some time. It'll take some time. Okay. Do you have anything else?
Going to be a very interesting offseason, folks. Buckle up.
It's going to be a very interesting week. Who are you vying for in the playoffs now?
I am vying for the Texans, and I am vying for the Detroit Lions.
I think that's exactly where it should be. That CJ Stroud is one good fella. All right. Guys, thank you very much. Hopefully this was, I don't even know if moderately therapeutic is the right word. Hopefully this was insightful, was offering myself too much credit. You deserve the insightful side of things. I just asked if Nick Morrow could fight me, and I thought I could win. So that's
Hey,
what I'm offering.
hey! If you want to try to set that up, like I'll be happy to commentate.
Okay. Yeah, I just have to get belligerent on Twitter. That's my 20. So my two agendas for 2024: fight Nick Morrow and get Jalen Hurts to break up with his girlfriend and marry Oprah. That way he can take a pay cut and the Eagles can build their roster.
I'm not gonna lie, Jake. I was really hoping you were gonna say before you said Morrow, "Hey, Brandon, do you think I could beat Nick Sirianni in a fight?"
Oh, I'll beat the shit out of him. This anger, I'll bring a knife.
Oh man,
Gut him like a sheep. This man has caused me so much mental anguish. It's irreparable. Good Lord. Okay. Thank you guys very much for hanging out with us on this dreary Tuesday. Eagles season is over. That's where we're at. On to 2024. I guess. I don't know. Go Birds. Go Texans. Go Lions. Catch y'all next time.